Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Lord Brunson back at you with the back at you, and I am the best reporting on the Eagles. Before we get into the meat and potatoes, I gotta let you know that this video is brought to you by Print Champs, big Print Champs in the building, man. Bringing you everything you need to stay in tune, stay in step with the merchandise that we putting out over here at Lord Brunson Productions, man. I want you guys to use code Bully10 at checkout. You know what I mean? See some of the fabulous things we got going on. I got an announcement. I'm going to hold on to it probably to the top of the month. New partnership that's definitely going to help you guys out, definitely going to help me out. You know what I mean? And I'm glad to be a part of it. And I wouldn't be able to get these deals and get these things, established if it wasn't for you guys. So, yeah, let's talk about it, man. Brian Johnson's out. Brian Johnson's out. This isn't something that we didn't see coming. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it has to be a fall guy. Unfortunately, that fall guy is Brian Johnson. And, listen, I wouldn't be myself if I ain't keep it a being about the situation. Now, look, I'm not, you know, I'm not the fly on Jeffrey Lurie's wall. You know what I mean? I want to clarify that right now. I don't know how some of these things are happening. I don't know what's the cause of some of these things. You know what I mean? But if you want to ask me, it looks a little scapegoatish to me. You know what I mean? It looks a little scapegoatish to me that, Brian Johnson and Sean Desai and Matt Patricia. Well, I could see Matt Patricia being gone, but Brian Johnson and Sean Desai. Let me speak. Let me elaborate. Now, we knew that, there were some issues on the defensive side of the ball all year. You know what I mean? Mac Jones has won 300 passing yard game. It came week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles. So, we knew that the defense had issues, but, when you're 10-1 and when you're winning games, you kind of overlook a lot of these issues. We all fell victim to that as a fan base. I can't be the only one who said, well, let me give these guys the benefit of the doubt based upon what we've seen from them. You know what I mean? This is a show me you could do it kind of league, or what have you done for me lately kind of league. The Philadelphia Eagles showed you before that with competent coaching, they could put you in a level, or they could put you in a position to, seriously compete for a championship. So while you're still winning games and finding ways to win games, the NFL, everybody was vastly impressed with the Philadelphia Eagles still finding ways to win games, especially against some of the good teams we played this year. But when we decided to give Sean Desai lesser responsibility with the defense, we were 10-3. And a lot of people don't agree with benching a defensive coordinator in the midway of the season, but this is the point. Sean Desai was fired before Brian Johnson. Sean Desai also didn't get the opportunity or the chance to correct his deficiencies. You know what I mean? You got guys like Reed Blankenship. A lot of people talking about how confusing that was for them. Now, on Brian Johnson's part, you would have to be, in denial if you think Nick Siriani doesn't have more control over the offense than Brian Johnson. The writing's on the wall with that one, man. Look at how Brian Johnson, coached at, Florida at the collegiate level as an offensive coordinator. And, the writing's on the wall. You know what I mean? Nick Sirianni had more hands on it, than Brian Johnson did. And, Brian Johnson took the fall for that, for I believe ultimately following the direction of Nick Sirianni. You know what I mean? But hey, man, shit rolls downhill. Nick Sirianni not going, take the flack. You know what I mean? Nick Sirianni's going to say, well, we're going to get some different guys in here. You know what I mean? And I have an issue with that. I almost rather would have seen Brian Johnson get a second chance, but to run the offense his way, because there's no way in the world that's Brian Johnson's offense, man. I just refuse to believe it. I almost want to see him be an OC somewhere else so I can just, look at film and see how he does things when teams give him the reins. You know what I mean? I just don't think anybody had the reins, you know what I mean, but Nick Sirianni. So, it's way too much confusion with the offense this year. And I think a guy like Nick Sirianni, who goes in these pressers and says things like, this is my offense, he should have took a lot more heat, you know what I mean, for what happened. Now real Eagles fans know, you know what I mean, that, it just looks like, it just, we can't speculate, man, but, it's hard seeing, two first-year coordinators. You just got here on the offseason, Sean Desai and Brian Johnson, and now they're not here. The only person here is Nick Sirianni. It's just a little weird to me, man. I just think that, I think Brian Johnson definitely just got caught in the middle of something and he got scapegoated out the door. So I wish Brian Johnson nothing but the best. But it is what it is. We Eagles fans first, and we gotta move forward with that situation. Um, in terms of offensive coordinators, that we should be looking at. A lot of y'all are saying things. I'm seeing this all over Twitter, and it just doesn't make sense to me. We should go after the Lions offensive coordinator. We should go after the Ravens offensive coordinator. We should go after the Bills offensive coordinator. You guys have to understand something. These guys are a part of good teams already as offensive coordinators. Why would they leave from being an offensive coordinator to go be an offensive coordinator somewhere else? It doesn't make sense. Good football coaches, when they're offensive coordinators, when they have good teams, they get promoted to head coach. You know what I mean? So the only exception of a good coordinator that might be available is Eric Bieniemy, but I haven't heard of Eric Bieniemy getting fired yet. You know what I mean? I would damn sure give Eric Bieniemy, another go at it, because Eric Bieniemy has shown what he can do in terms of calling plays. Now, Commanders fans will try to water it down and say Eric Bieniemy was just Andy Reid's clipboard holder. That's a losing franchise over there. You know what I mean? Commanders fans would try to water down Ron Rivera being a defensive coordinator. That's a losing franchise over there, y'all. It's a losing franchise over there. What we got to stop doing is listening to losers. We got to just stop listening to losers, man. Because like I said, man, this is a new NFL, man. Since when has the teams who don't compete in the postseason, whether win, lose, or draw, since when has those teams been able to have a voice? You know what I mean? I believe you. I blame YouTube. I blame YouTube for that, because I'd be damned. I know y'all saw the Super Friends stream last night. I'd be damned if I sit on a stream with a Commanders fan and Louis T. You know what I mean? And tell me, and we're gonna start the stream off laughing at me. You didn't make the playoffs. You know what I mean? You didn't make the playoffs. I believe Ron Rivera would be a better defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles than he was than he was a head coach for the Washington Commanders. I believe so. I believe Eric Bieniemy will be a better offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles than he was for the Commanders. But that all remains to be seen. But this is the direction that I think the Philadelphia Eagles should go. I think the Philadelphia Eagles should promote. You got to promote for your next offensive coordinator. If you're the Eagles, you have to promote. A lot of guys have to promote. You know what I mean? A lot of, passing game coordinators and QB coaches will become offensive coordinators this year. A lot of people don't understand that. You know what I mean? So the guy that I'm looking at is Darrell Bevell, the Dolphins quarterback coach and passing game coordinator. We know how good the Miami Dolphins, offense was, explosive at times. You know what I mean? Scheming to get wide receivers open. He had Tua, really throwing with really good timing. That's one thing Tua does really well. Tua throws to a spot. You know what I mean? Tua doesn't necessarily throw guys open, but if you can get to where you're supposed to be, the ball will be there. You know what I mean? If you're supposed to be running an end breaking route and you're that guy on that route, your number's been called, that ball will be there because Tua can throw to a spot. Now, in a way, that is throwing a guy open. You know what I mean? Because Tua has made some amazing throws this year to where the guy wasn't at the spot yet, but he threw the ball in perfect timing. And by the time the ball got there, it was right in the guy's hand. So I think, a guy like Darrell Bevell, I think that's a guy that the Philadelphia Eagles should look at. He soaked some of that game up from the head coach over there. Mike McDaniel, the spontaneous head coach in Miami, he soaked some of that game up, some of that swag up. And I think that, some of that creativity will rub off. So that's my guy right now for offensive coordinator, Darrell Bevell. You know what I'm saying? That's my guy. Tua was looking like, for a large portion of the season, an MVP candidate. You know what I mean? And, this is an under the radar guy that a lot of people are not talking about. Let's talk about, just some good things that Howie Roseman did to set us up. You know what I mean? To set us up for this year. Win, lose, or draw this year, the Philadelphia Eagles are set up pretty well in the draft due to the comp picks that we got. And, that's just another strong suit of Howie Roseman. A lot of people are blaming Howie Roseman for the coaching debacle, Howie controlling this, Howie controlling that. But, the things that Howie Roseman are ultimately responsible for, like putting talent on the football team and getting you some picks and actually making some good picks in the last couple of drafts, I think Howie Roseman is still, the best general manager in that aspect. So, in comp picks, the Philadelphia Eagles got 9 picks overall. The Philadelphia Eagles will have 4 picks in the first 3 rounds of this draft. So right now we're sitting at the 22nd pick. Round 1, round 2, we got the 50th pick. Also the 53rd pick in round 2, and round 3 will be a comp pick. I'm not sure if that came from Edwards or losing Hargrave or whatever the case may be. Round 5, we got a pick from Tampa. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 fifth-round picks, and that's where guys like Howie Roseman make their bones. That's where a lot of GMs make their bones. Then you got a 6th-round pick from Atlanta. So you're really strong in this draft in the first 3 picks if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's just another testament to Howie Roseman and how Howie Roseman has absolutely done his best to put the Philadelphia Eagles in a position to always be able to get talent on the roster. Now, if the talent pans out, that's a different conversation for another day. But you got a lot of picks. You got a lot of picks in this year's draft coming up. So you can address some needs like linebacker, cornerback. It's going to be hard to get from under the dead cap hits from the cornerbacks we have on the roster. I know a lot of people saying cut this guy, cut that guy. But you might got to keep Bradbury another year. You know what I mean? That's the daily signs. You might got to keep Bradbury for another year. And just sprinkling a lot more playing time for Keely Ringo. But it's time for some of these younger players on the roster to use the much gained experience from this season, to their benefit. I think Eli Ricks can improve. You know what I mean? It's a lot of guys that can improve on this team. So, yeah, man, in a nutshell, the Philadelphia Eagles have to, look at some of these passing game coordinators and things of that nature. I'm just waiting to see how the chips fall and who's going to be announced for some of these positions. But at the end of the day, man, creativity on the offense is very, very much needed for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, like I said, man, let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. That's my thoughts. That's my guy for offensive coordinator. And, I think it'll really help revamp, just the style because, not only did the Dolphins, pass the ball well, they also ran the ball well as well, and that passing game coordinator understands speed. You know what I mean? He knows how to utilize speed. That's evident with the track stars that they had on that team. So, yeah, man, I like him, and we'll see how that happens, man. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, though.